Okay, this is called, what this is about, the recursive chain of mirror worlds between the real and virtual in telepresent televisual portals. This is the whole scenery right here. And it's two portals. And the top pictures the schematics of each, cross-sectional schematics. First off, the cloaking interface, where those two arrows go. Then you have the holodeck interface, the blue region. The first two arrows go to the yellow region closest to the center between the two portals. That's the cloaking interfaces that makes the portal invisible, and also splits to eliminate the holodeck, which is the blue region. The secondary holodeck is the furthest away yellow region from the center of the two portals. This is just a schematic. It could be in any sort of orientation, but this helps to organize thoughts. The outside backdrop holodeck environment exists within the cloaking interface and the holodeck, but in between the holodeck interface and the secondary holodeck of the sending and receiving ends from Bob's portal, from his real holodeck to his virtual holodeck self. By the way, nothing can exist in the yellow regions, no matter, just virtual light information. So that yellow person is him in reverse in virtual form in the secondary holodeck. So these take on a cycle, a recursive chain of mirror worlds, from the real world, each other's non-local real world, to the cloaking interface, then goes into the real holodeck where matter can exist, and then back into the secondary holodeck where only virtual information can exist for both of these. And those are the transmitters and receivers from the secondary holodeck back to each other's main holodeck. And they overlap. When they go through these cycles, their virtual selves will overlap their bodies. And if there's any deformation in any of the interfaces, there would be a distortion in the overlapped virtual selves too. But they'd be so real they wouldn't be yellow. They would look just like the color of your skin and the clothes. And here's a Chain of Mirror-World Portal Topology. An infinite recursion starting in each other's respective non-local world, and into the cloaking interface, into the holodeck interface, into the secondary holodeck interface, and then transmitted into the other portal's holodeck portal, and then into their secondary holodeck, and transmitted again in a continuous loop. Each other's virtual selves continuously feed back over the real bodies as their light information is repeatedly cycled through this chain of mirror worlds. The outside world and the cloaking interface where the outside world enters to eliminate the holodeck backdrop environment are not completely cut off from the mirror world chain, but the inner reality is in complete cutoff from the cloaking interface in the outside world. The outside world's relation is only a one-way path. And I'm to read this. The mirror world effect is dual-televisual, meaning that it has two complete televisual systems working in unison, sending and receiving to create the telepresence of each other's corresponding televisual portal. I believe there could be basically plural correspondences of any size portal grouping, and they would all meet up in each other's virtual or real holodeck of each one through telepresence. And that would further complicate the topology of this mirror world portal topology. And here's Bob. And an unspoken thing about these things, especially in illustration, is that you got to remember that the backdrop environment moves with the doors that open on each portal, so they wouldn't line up if the doors are open. That's just the structure of a televisual portal, and I don't know what form it might take in the cosmic form, but I believe the mirror world topology has something to say. It's a televised topology. From mirror world to real world to mirror world, from real world, non-local real worlds to mirror worlds, or to virtual cloaking world, to illuminated holodeck real world, to a virtual secondary holodeck that transmits over into the real world again into a real holodeck, and then gets recycled back over into the virtual, and then transmits again back into the real, and that cycle is separate unto themselves. But the cloaking interface continuously feeds the outside environment of each other's chosen environment into the real holodeck, and that continuously feeds a cycle loop that doesn't feed back into the outside world. The outside world enters in to eliminate the holodeck, but the holodeck doesn't show itself to the outside world. It's a one-way path, and here's Bob and his schematic above him, and those dark orange embodiments are each other's fed back telepresence into each other's holodeck, and these show Bob and Alice outside their holodeck. On the bottom image, there's Bob, and he's standing on the deck that leads to the chambers, and there's Alice right there. She's standing on the deck that leads to the, not the deck, the gangplank or whatever that leads to the deck that leads to the chambers. And you have 3 chambers as exactly depicted in the schematic cross sections. One for cloaking, one for the main holodeck, and one for the secondary inversion holodeck that takes a negative image and transmits over into a positive form to the real holodeck again. And so this is at least a televisual chain of mirror-world topology, a televised topology. But I'd like to imagine that one day this mirror world topology would completely connect separate parts of reality, not just our own world, but parts of different other realities. I believe there's something to be said about the mirror world effect and what it might relate to in a cosmic portal type embodiment. But so here's a recursive chain of mirror worlds between the real and virtual in telepresent televisual portals. These are just televisual portals, and all it is a cloaked reality portals. It's a virtual reality inside a cloaked shell. That's what my interpretation of a portal is, my practical interpretation of